Some folks took some time out of their busy day to be here today. First of all, Girls Rising. So let's thank this organization. You'll have plenty of time to see a lot of them as the day goes on. I would ask that you just hold your applause till the end because we're on a time crunch here. But first and foremost, Dr. Maurice Edouard Vincent, our esteemed superintendent. Diane, hold it to the end, folks.
At the end.
Diane Caldwell, our associate superintendent. Peter Cushing, our assistant superintendent.
Stop clapping.
Our Director of Curriculum and Guidance, Bernadette Riccadelli, who's been an integral part of making this happen today. A lot of our directors of the different departments in the school are here. Director of Math, Dr. Faiza Khan. Director of Science, Rocco Sierri. Director of EL, Paul Texera. Director of Fine Arts, Tony Zigny, who's also been extremely helpful. My guidance team, thank you so much for all the help that you've done here. Some folks took some time out of their busy day to be here today. First of all, Girls Rising. So let's thank this organization. You'll have plenty of time to see a lot of them as the day goes on. I would ask that you just hold your applause till the end because we're on a time crunch here. But first and foremost, Dr. Maurice Edouard Vincent, our esteemed superintendent. Diane, hold it to the end, folks.
At the end.
Diane Caldwell, our associate superintendent. Peter Cushing, our assistant superintendent.
Stop clapping.
Our Director of Curriculum and Guidance, Bernadette Riccadelli, who's been an integral part of making this happen today. A lot of our directors of the different departments in the school are here. Director of Math, Dr. Faiza Khan. Director of Science, Rocco Sierri. Director of EL, Paul Texera. Director of Fine Arts, Tony Zigny, who's also been extremely helpful. My guidance team, thank you so much for all the help that you've done here. Our headmaster, Paul DeLeva. School committee members, Kathy Kretz, Paulette Vanderkloot, Mia Mastone, and Paul Rousseau. Welcome Melanie McLaughlin, who is going to be joining our school committee right after the first of the year. So thank you all to the elected officials and school administration for coming today. You're in for a treat. While waiting for that to come down, I'd like to thank all the students that helped get this going today, too.
Antigone Rising is an all-female rock band, genetically encoded to never give up, because our mission has always been bigger than our music. We are about surviving and persevering in a culture and an industry that is dominated by men. We're a self-sufficient band in the sense that we play our own instruments and we write our own songs. It never occurred to us to be anything different. Through good fortune and perseverance, we had amazing opportunities throughout our career, playing major festivals like Bonnaroo and Lilith Fair, and alongside artists like the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, the Allman Brothers, Roseanne Cash, the Bangles, the Doors, Sarah McLachlan, and Joan Jett. And while these opportunities were rewarding, we knew they were extremely rare for female artists, and maybe there was something we could do about it. In 2012, we had the opportunity to travel abroad to the Middle East as cultural ambassadors.
We just got here yesterday, so we're a little jet lagged from the flight.
The reaction to seeing a self-sustained all-female band was akin to Beatlemania. Girls cried and boys chased us. Gymnasium floors shook, and we had an epiphany. Kids in the United States react to us in the exact same way they do in third world countries. So we formed Girls Rising in an effort to show not just the girls, but the boys that strong women exist and have much to contribute to culture.
We just weren't sure what you would think of us, so we hope you like it.
Very nice.
Everybody loves this music.
Yeah, it's a break from school, right?
We're losing half of the world's resources by not embracing the value of women. Vietnam, Germany, France, Austria, the Middle East, and all across the United States, we've been able to share our message with people of all ages.
Antigone Rising coming today was sort of this awesome example of what's out there for women and what it means to be successful creatively and not just take the pre-prescribed path that sort of served you on a platter in high school, you know?
No one should be limited because of who they are, how they love, or what they celebrate.
I believe in music because it's an international language and it brings people together.
Antigone Rising.
I think it was a fantastic opportunity for our pupils. This was something definitely new to them.
A great example of American art and culture.
We need your support, that's why we're here. Kids need to see it, to know they can be it. It's why we started Girls Rising.
Having such positive vibes in the room and just being able to enjoy the music and also learn so much from it.
Girls Rising is about empowerment, and our outreach workshops allow us to lead by example.
These people have done it and they're successful and it's something that I want to do. Something that I kind of think I might not be able to do, but now I kind of think I can.
We share our personal story. We have thought-provoking dialogue with the audience. We sing songs creating happiness and joy, and we leave people feeling like they can be anything they want to be.
I can't do anything. I have to go ahead and follow my dreams.
extraordinary things to help us get So we're at Antigone Rising, and we have a nonprofit called Girls Rising. We go around and we talk to kids about our experiences as women in the male-dominated field. And I think we have, what do we have first? Who's coming up?
Well,
Carrie?
Yeah, let's have Carrie.
Right? Carrie, our moderator. We have Carrie here.
Yeah. Carrie, maybe come into the light a little bit. Okay. Well, we can, yeah, that's great. And turn the house lights on. That's great. You can stay there, yeah. That's great.
Hello.
Now we have some light.
Hi, Carrie.
Hello, everybody. Hello. How about another round of applause? Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to your almost holiday week. So I hope everyone's doing well today, and I'm glad you're joining us this afternoon. I'm so happy to be here. I am Carrie Kavanaugh, Medford resident, born and raised. Happy to be here with you. I am Boston 25 news anchor at 4 p.m. I'm also an investigative reporter. I've been a journalist for, I think, 18 years now. And I've lived all over the country doing this field, but I've been back home working in Boston since 2015. So I'm going to introduce an amazing panel of women that are here today to share their experiences, a little bit about what they do, and talk more with the band. So I just want to introduce them all first, and like we did with the first go-around, let's hold our applause until the end because we have so many great people to get through. I just will ask each participant to stand up so everyone can see you as I introduce you. So let's begin with First Lieutenant Tara Sweeney, United States Air Force retired from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, Space Camp Hall of Fame 2018 inductee. She is a private pilot and aspiring astronaut. We have Dr. Jamie Chia, Medford resident, Director of High Throughput Science Facilities at the Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research at MIT. Colleen Coyne, Falmouth, Massachusetts, former resident of Medford, 1998 U.S. Olympic gold medalist, and played for the University of New England Wildcats women ice hockey team, two-time ECAC champions, and team captain. Next we have Megan Keller, 2018 Olympic gold medalist, women's hockey, and played for BC Eagles, my alma mater as well, women's ice hockey team where she was also captain. Tara Mounsey from Concord, New Hampshire, 1998 U.S. Olympic gold medalist, women's hockey, 2002 United States silver medalist, women's hockey as well. Jennifer Jordan, Medford High graduate right here, UMass Amherst graduate, civil engineer, and principal owner of JCK Underground. Kathy Leonard, retired Verizon executive, former Medford resident, and daughter of Marilyn Parika, the first female mayor of Medford. Robin Doherty, lifelong Medford resident, Medford police officer, graduate of the Criminal Justice Center at Curry College, graduate of nursing as well, 2 careers here at Regis College. Mackenzie Grammer. Fan favorite, that's great. Medford Vocational Technical High School graduate, electrical apprentice in her 2nd year. So, as you can tell, quite the amazing panel. So
many great, women here who have kind of broken through the glass ceiling of excelling in fields that are normally male-dominated, and some of the obstacles that we've come across. But what inspired you guys? We'll start with you guys over here. What inspired you to get into the fields that you got into?
Yeah. Oh, share. Share.
So my name is Jamie. I am a scientist at MIT. I run a lab that merges biology and engineering to accelerate drug discovery and research. And so I actually started out with aspirations of being a medical doctor. You all hear me?
Yes.
I started out with aspirations of being a medical doctor and then watched one too many episodes of ER because I didn't like blood. So I actually switched to doing bench science and basic science research and realized that that is an incredible way to actually impact patient health because it's great. It's nice to see that what we study at a basic science level can impact patients. We have a lot of people in my building studying drugs and studying devices and studying diagnostics to help cancer.
Hi, I'm Tara Sweeney, and so I'm from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and since I was 10 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut and a pilot. And I'm so grateful that I had several role models when I was a young girl. You might remember Sally Ride, Judy Resnick, Krista McAuliffe, all NASA astronauts who did amazing things in their careers. And so since I was a little girl, I had great female role models who just inspired me to do great things. But what really kicked my dreams into high gear is when I became the first girl from my hometown to go to a United States Service Academy. So I attended the United States Air Force Academy out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And there I met thousands of young men and women who were just motivated by the common goal of serving our country and doing something larger than ourselves. And because I was surrounded by so many awesome girls and boys who just wanted to become scientists and engineers and astronauts and pilots, it really fueled me in my passion to know that this is exactly what I wanted to do and that I could go do it. And so for all of you out here, I presume you're getting ready to start looking at colleges and where you want to go. Always find that family where you can feel like you can help each other get to where you want to go. It's awesome that you want to be an engineer. It's awesome that you want to be a chef. It's awesome that you want to be a teacher. But help each other find out what they want to be and the impact that they can make on our world.
I wonder what you just made about finding that family and finding the people that have passion like you. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't get that fellowship, where people were kind of saying, I don't know if you're cut out for this?
All the time. All the time. I was just having a great conversation with one of my dearest friends from high school. And what I have found is being able to lead with love, being able to know who you are as a human being, and being willing to put that out there for the whole world to see. That's not easy. It's not easy when you know exactly who it is that you are in a world that wants you to go one way or the other. It's not easy when you know exactly your path, but every door doesn't open up in the exact manner in which you think it should be. I will tell you, the path that I set out, all the boxes I outlined that I was going to achieve as a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old, or even as a 26-year-old kid, are different than what I have achieved today. But I will tell you, I feel so very satisfied and excited about what it is that I get to do now. Because when your path is true, when you know where it is that you want to go, when you know who it is you want to be, it doesn't matter if you zig left or right, because you always come back to what that path is. And I am personally ever grateful for those zigs and zags, because it helped me define exactly who I am. And to know that I had so many amazing friends and family around me, I am right on that path that I've always wanted to be, and that is, I hope, a solid human being, one who leads with love, and one who is always open to new opportunity.
That was great. That was great. That was great. I wanted to bring in some of our hockey players here, because we have several, generations that were playing at different points in time, and I thought maybe you could share some of your experiences. What was it like when you were playing versus now when you're playing currently? Different types of pushback you may have gotten, or support that you may have gotten.
Well, I think after the astronaut has spoken, I think we should also tell them. That was amazing. But I first wanted to say, speaking on behalf of myself and my teammates, it's an honor to be a part of the Medford High School and also Girls Rising. And this is really an amazing group of people in this room, students and professionals. So thank you for having me. I'm again thankful for this opportunity to help empower all of you and to learn more about myself and grow as a person. But as you know, we play hockey, and but we're kind. I'm on my team. But I grew up playing hockey where I played with all boys until college. And who were my role models? Right? My role models were the Boston Bruins. There weren't any women on the Boston Bruins. There still aren't any women on the Boston Bruins. But I didn't have female role models in my sport. And thankfully, Colleen and I played on the first ever U.S. Olympic women's ice hockey team, winning a gold medal. And we are now role models for so many young girls and boys playing the sport. Right? So we have it's been really amazing to see how our 98 team has impacted young girls and boys in the sport of ice hockey, and I'm thankful that those players now have women to look up to, and I think that everyone can benefit from that, and I really emphasize that the boys benefit from that as well. You see the game from a different perspective. There's no checking, and it's good exposure. But I just it's an honor to be here. We all have our obstacles. Colleen will probably share a few more of those. But my message is be yourself, be strong, and be kind.
Thank
So I don't have a lot to add to that. So well said. And we grew up around. She's younger than me, but not young enough to have played with girls her whole career. But a lot of us were inspired by either brothers or cousins. My brother played, so I was getting dragged to the rink every weekend. And finally, I was like, why am I sitting on the sidelines? That looks like a lot of fun. And so we got involved that way, and that's how I got involved. And then I just fell in love with the sport. I mean, I think that to Tara's point, like when you find something that you're just drawn to day after day, and always wanting to get to that next step, it comes naturally. It's a lot of hard work, but somehow the work isn't as painful as it was something you were being forced to do. So definitely keep your eyes and ears open and try to find that thing that you're really drawn to time and again. And I definitely want to, and I know Tara will second this, first of all, I want to thank all the boys that are here, because for all the people that you're seeing. But it's so very important. Like when I was growing up, for every one boy that was like, you shouldn't play baseball, or you shouldn't be playing hockey, it's not for girls, I had two backing me up saying, well, she's better than you. So, I'd rather have her my thing than and all that means a lot, like to have that type of support. It really carries an awful lot. So for all of you males out there that are supporting your female classmates and people in your life, like, thank you.
So Megan, what has it meant for you to have women like this kind of paving the way?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been amazing. Sorry, thank you. I was going to bend my knees a little bit. It's been amazing to see how far women's ice hockey has come. But in reality, it all started with the pioneers of our sport, with Colleen and Tara. I mean, that 98 team and the rest of their teammates, when they won that gold medal, I think I can speak for a lot of my teammates and myself on the 2018 Olympic team, is they started a dream for a lot of us at a young age, and to be able to grow up and watch them at an Olympic level and see that on TV and see them achieve their dreams really inspired the rest of us to kind of show us that, hey, like, we can do this too. There is opportunities out there for girls as well to play hockey. I grew up playing with the boys from a young age as well, and for a long time you only saw the NHL on TV. So to be able to have them as role models and see them accomplish their own dreams and inspire the future generations of our sport has been amazing. Excited to see where women's hockey takes it from here.
Oh, that was awesome. Since we're talking about a lot of women competing in male-dominated fields, I want to talk to our police officer among us. If I could bring you into the conversation, please stand up. And I want you to kind of talk to us about what your experience has been like, and if you ever felt you had to work harder to get to where you are.
Hi, I know some of you have seen my face around. So I've been a police officer here in Medford for 31 and a half years now. So I graduated Medford High. The funny thing is, I played hockey growing up. I played all sports, and then I actually became a cheerleader. Right for my last couple years at the high school. So I kind of just kept going back and forth. Then I graduated high school. I said, wow, police sounds like a fun job. I don't have to sit behind a desk. It sounds exciting. And I mean, I was an athlete like, a lot of you girls here. I just knew I wanted to do something exciting. Plus I had that, I want to do something for my community. So I became a police officer at 22. And I did see, I have to admit, there was a lot of resistance. There were only 3 females on before me. And as of right now, we are finally up to about 10 females on the Medford Police Department, which is still not enough. We want even more. So my chief is always, new chiefs is encouraging new female officers, females to get involved in law enforcement career. We need females in law enforcement. Yeah, there's some out there, kicking ass sometimes, taking names, but there's a lot of other parts that police officers, that females can add to the job when it comes to compassionate roles and, helping victims and stuff like that. So we do the good stuff and the nice stuff and the tough stuff. And there you do see some resistance from the guys, but very well said. For every one guy that gives you crap, you've got the other 2 behind you saying, this job, this department wouldn't be as great as it is without you, Robin. So, how would you like that? And then just one other thing, I love doing police, but I wanted to do more helping, so I went back and got my nursing degree about 10 years ago. So I do nursing also. So I can arrest them, cuff them, and then give them first aid if they need it.
In our spare time. Can I bring the band back in? Because you had said something when we were getting to know each other as this program was getting started, that you were performing at these festivals and having opportunities, but you weren't getting called back to do it every year because the one spot for a female performer had been filled by someone else. I thought that was really interesting, and then what you kind of did to get beyond that.
Hi, I'm Kristen from MTV Rising, and we were just sharing backstage with everyone how when we started the nonprofit Girls Rising, it was to go around to schools and talk to all of you. But another thing that we've done since we've started Girls Rising is we've created a music festival of our own, because year over year we would play festivals, and the following year all the male bands would get invited back, but we would never get invited back, even though more or less we would always, I don't want to sound, we would steal the show. At least it seemed, the reaction was that. And then we wouldn't get invited back because they were having a different female. It also happened to us with airplay, radio airplay. When our first single came out on Atlantic Records, they were sending it out to radio stations, and the radio stations were adding 10 or 11 new male artists every week, but only 1 new female artist was getting added to radio a week. And artists like Sheryl Crow, Gwen Stefani, I mean, we were up against Stevie Nicks, and so we weren't getting added because of that. So it took much longer for our song to get added to radio, whereas, the male bands were getting added all the time. I do want to point out that the one we did get added in Boston, though.
I want to just take that point and put it in perspective a little bit. There was a survey done of all music festivals on a global level. So it actually, you could think, well, all right, well, what if you just stink and you weren't invited back? And the fact of the matter is we could have been terrible, but only 11% of acts on festival stages were female. So you can look at the poster of any festival, take out all the men, and maybe have 1 or 2 slots that were female. And that's on a global level. Now, things are changing. There are movements now where they want to be 50-50. So things are changing, but what Kristen was speaking to was it's been a reality since festivals began that the marquee acts are always guys, and all female bands are less than 10-12% of those.
And anyway, the point is that we decided to start our own festival. So this is one of those things where when you hit an obstacle, how do you overcome an obstacle? And we just looked at each other and said, here's how we get a festival every year. We'll start our own festival. So that's what we've done. We have our own festival. It's a weekend in June on Long Island. If you all want to come, you're more than welcome. And we headline it every year. It's guaranteed. We actually just got the call to play again, and we said yes.
Yes, that's great. How about that? Headlining.
We've had 2 bands from Boston, actually, just last year. Well, Calliope Jones, who's
they're from Western Mass.
Western Mass.
Their mom is in the Niels.
Yeah. So I think the point is, right, if you're ever following your path and you get a big fat no, you can pivot around that. You can always pivot around that.
Right.
The word no is a green light for you to grow. So it's really important. You actually want to know because it's going to make you even stronger. So that's kind of what the point of that story is, that we decided to kind of take control, pivot, and create our own festival. What's also important is what was happening with the one female spot that was always available was the competitiveness, again, within
I was going to make that point.
the artists, right? And we turned that around, and now it's, kind of putting our hand out saying, hey, there's enough for everybody.
We found in our career coming up as a female band, actually, that a lot of female artists wanted nothing to do with us. It was so competitive, and if we were on a bill with other female artists, it was so tense backstage because we were all being pigeonholed and we were all being given half an opportunity, and it was really cutthroat.
They would actually bully us, remember? Then they call us Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah. I was like, it's better to be Bon Jovi.
But anyway, we digress.
So our point is that women are not supporting women, and that's why we're not getting pulled up the ladder, right?
So I think Tara made a point of your community, finding your community, finding people around you, and this is actually gender diverse. It has nothing to do with gender in the way of finding your people that will support you in your dreams, no matter what they are. Create your own family.
I do want to say, though, there are obviously female artists who have been extremely supportive to us throughout our career, and so it hasn't always been that they've been working against us, but there is a large component, or at least there was, and it's just something to be aware of as maybe you're moving up the ranks, or we as the leaders now keep that in mind too, is how hard it is for a woman to get a seat at the table. And, it isn't enough anymore for there to just be one woman at the boardroom table. We need more than one woman at that table in order to make and enact change. One woman isn't going to be able to do it by herself. So we have to be cognizant of that. And then obviously all the men who have been supportive, we've got a ton of those throughout our career, who have put us on bills with them, toured with them, taken us out, recorded with us in the studio. We're lucky to have that support too, so.
We'd like to bring in some folks from the audience. So if anyone wants to put their hand up, I will come around the microphone. Or maybe you could come down to me.
Yeah, anybody wants to come down and meet Carrie?
Yeah, like if you can line up down on the stairs here.
Oh, maybe. You with the broken leg, come down the steps.
What's your name? What year are you? Which year? What's your question?
I'm 23 years old.
How about you? Can you say your name and what year?
My name's Emily and I'm a junior. My question's for Tara. As a Air Force how did you go through that field, trying to fly and learn about flying and wanting to become an astronaut? How did you go through that field and just be on the top and go to NASA?
That's a great question. I didn't get your name.
Emily.
Emily, thank you so much. That's a great question. I really appreciate you asking it. It's been quite a journey, I will tell you. So they're not alone. I'm 46, and so I started my pilot and astronaut journey when I was 10. And so I have been very much committed to those goals for all of my life. Now, as someone was saying up here, life happens. So for me, I decided I wanted to go to the United States Air Force Academy. And at the time that I really started thinking about that, there had only been a few graduating classes of women. And so to now be among the earliest classes of women graduating was pretty spectacular. To want to go into a career at that time, a very much a male-dominated career field of being a pilot, even if it was for personal or professional aspirations, that too is very challenging. And for those of you who might be aspiring engineers out here, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer too. When I got to the Air Force Academy, I said, I think I might want to be a scientist instead. And so that was one of the first times I had to redefine who I was. I had grown up wanting to be an engineer, now I'm going to be a scientist. But I did that because of what was true to my heart. I knew I wanted to be an engineer all of my life. That didn't matter. I knew when it got to my heart, I wanted to be a scientist. So I offer that to you, first of all, because you always have to follow your heart and what's exciting you as a human being. And any astronaut that I've had the pleasure of talking with will say, always follow what is what makes you happy, it makes you tick, it makes you feel like you can have an impact on the world. And then figure out how to make those astronaut dreams fit those. And so I went through a number of challenges in my 20s that helped me redefine what my path was going to be. But it's important to know how to pivot and say, okay, this door might be close to me right now, but I can pivot in a different direction. And so I went on and built my scientist career. And before I knew it, I was a member of our nation's parabolic flight team. So with you being NASA, you'll know where the modern day version of the vomit comes from. And it turns out that amazingly, all of the science that I accomplished, because I decided I wasn't going to be an engineer, but all the science I accomplished now made me uniquely qualified to be on this parabolic flight team and now have 5 hours in microgravity. As I tell so many kids that I have the pleasure of speaking to, just like you, Evelyn, is that I have a couple more boxes left to check in my life. Rocket ride and view. Because I know what it feels like to float in microgravity like an astronaut. I know what it feels like to put my brain and my science and research aspirations to work in microgravity like an astronaut. But I still have that box to check, rocket ride, so I can see that view, that wonderful limb of the Earth. So I would say, always lean to what makes you happy and what makes you excited. And then you figure out how to make those astronaut dreams align with that. Now, I'm hoping commercial spaceflight is just a few years away, and I'll be able to check that last box and get on up there and see you.
Another question. Hi, my name's Kylie. I'm a sophomore, and I was just wondering how difficult it is to get and stay into the music industry as a woman.
Well, we don't quit. I think as everybody pretty much has evidenced, is when you hit obstacles, you pivot.
Yeah.
And you don't quit. If it's what's in your heart, it's what we've always wanted to do. I don't know that when we first started, we imagined ourselves at your high school. But that's where our journey has led us, and it's the exactly right place. And we've done incredible things. We've played the biggest stages available. But we just don't quit.
I think you need to be able to redefine, always be flexible on your journey. And I would also say something that has come to us through the years is, well, screw the music industry. You know, we don't need an industry. We are self-sustained. We're a business. We're our own business, and we'll do it without the industry, so to speak. I would say coming up as a band, we were sort of riding the wave of the internet too. We had that on our side. So back when it was like really the Wild West, and there were things like Napster and people downloading music for free. Whereas a lot of already commercially successful artists were fighting that. We were like, yes. We were riding the wave of that with bands like OAR and a lot of the bands that we came up with. So we played that to our advantage. You know, did we maybe lose some money because of it? No, because in essence we were building as a band and selling tickets. It worked for us. So you know. That's just, we can find creative ways to work around an obstacle, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Are you a musician, or are you talking about being an executive in the industry?
I would be interested in going into music, but there are also other things that I want to do at like the same time.
I would say be in the business of you.
Exactly.
You know, be in the business of you, and it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing.
Well, if you're doing what it is that you love, and you're following your heart, and for us it was playing music, right? So we would play, you know, after we would have day jobs after work, we'd go and play in the clubs downtown in the city. And eventually, you know, the right people attract who come and help you build that career and go the next step. So if you always are true to what it is that you love and you're doing it, the right people and the right opportunities are going to show up. And then you'll be in the industry.
Do you have time for one more question? We have a young man I'd like to bring into the conversation.
Hey, my name is Nick. I'm grade 9. Do you work at NASA?
No. Impressive acronym. Do you work at NASA?
I don't work at NASA, but I've done a lot of projects for NASA. And most recently, I got to lead Space Camp at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, Huntsville, Alabama, which is an amazing place for all of you in this audience to consider going, who might be interested in science, technology, engineering, math, and even our artists in the room. Because together, we're going to get to experience space exploration together. And so, as part of the Parabolic Flight team, when I was on that team doing the Vomit Comet, I had the pleasure and the privilege of doing a lot of work with NASA, a lot of science and research with NASA. And you know, just personally, it was pretty spectacular to know that we are helping NASA achieve their next breakthroughs. So thank you for your questions, and I hope that means you have an interest in NASA, because we need all of us in this room to be supporters of NASA and all of our commercial spaceflight companies, so that we can go experience what long-duration spaceflight is doing.
Does anyone have any more questions? Because we are definitely running low on time. There is somebody up there in a yellow sweatshirt.
Just yell it out.
Hi. Yeah, I think my sister and I, we're sisters on the ends. Kathy and I met at our house.
At our house in the living room.
And we come from an extremely musical family. Our mother's a classically trained pianist, and we have uncles, cousins, everybody played music. And so that was really how we got started, was we just saw it all around in our home where we grew up. We weren't necessarily seeing it played out in real life, because there weren't all that many all-female bands when we were little, but we always knew we wanted to be the Beatles, or we wanted to be, you know, ELO, or whatever band it was we were into. So Kathy and I have always, from a very young age, we had a band. We just started a band probably when we were 4, and we would just bring kids in from the neighborhood. So that's what got us going. Bands like the Beatles and Pat Benatar, probably artists you've never heard of.
But you know, it was something we always knew we wanted to do. It's the thing that made us tick, and it was great that we had each other, so we kind of helped each other to tick along.
I want to thank everybody for joining us, for all of you for joining us, and all of our amazing panelists. We've made some really great friends here today, and I'm incredibly grateful. So thank you all so much for this opportunity. We're going to play one song for you before we go. Is that all right?